Thank you, Mr. President. Councilor Baker.
Here.
Councilor Siomo. Councilor Flaherty. Councilor Jackson. Councilor LaMattina. Councilor Linehan.
Here.
Councilor McCarthy. Councilor Murphy. Councilor O'Malley. Councilor Presley. Councilor Wu. Councilor Yancey. And Councilor Zachem. Mr. President, we have a full house today.
I've been informed by the clerk that a quorum is present. I would ask at this time for all councilors and guests to please rise. And I will ask Councilor Wu to come to the podium to introduce today's clergy. After the invocation is delivered, I'd ask all members and guests to remain standing as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Councilor Wu. Councilor Wu, you have the podium.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. I'm very honored to introduce the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON Boston. The ISKCON Boston Temple is on Commonwealth Ave and is the oldest Hindu temple in New England and the only one in Boston. This year they are celebrating their 50th anniversary, and they are just so involved in the community. I last saw them at the candlelight vigil for the Nepalese earthquake survivors and family members in Copley Square that was organized by the incredible Amit Dixit, who is here today. So thank you, Amit, for inviting the temple here, for their president, P.R. Mohan, for being here. And I would like to introduce the priest, Partha Biswas. Partha is a father, a husband, a computer scientist, a professor, a technical leader, a manager, counselor, and an ardent practitioner of Bhakti Yoga. He was an undergraduate student at the Indian Institute of Technology and a master's and PhD student at the University of California. He is currently a visiting professor at Tufts, a technical leader at MathWorks, and a spiritual advisor at Northeastern. What keeps Partha challenged and occupied is his ongoing endeavor to make the timeless teachings of Bhagavad Gita an integral part of his life. Partha lives with his wife, Anjum, and his two daughters, Radha and Visakha, in Wayland. Thank you very much, and they'll lead us in prayers.
Thank you, Michelle, for the introduction. I'm very grateful and honored to be present in this August assembly. Recently, we have all heard about the massive earthquake that has hit Nepal. It has taken away many precious lives and many monuments of national importance. And the Food for Life branch of ISKCON had extended their support and help in different ways, particularly erecting different relief centers and reaching out to remote parts of the country. However, it is indeed very difficult to compensate for the amount of losses the country has gone through. So now I would like to draw your attention to a beautiful prayer from our sacred texts. Hopefully, this will define a better future for all of us, and I hope that the message would resonate with all of you. The prayer has got 3 parts. The first part states the mission statement. It goes as follows. Swasti astu vishwasya khalah prasidatam dhyayantu bhutani shivam mithudhiya. Let there be auspiciousness all around the universe. Let the forces of envy be completely vanquished from the core of our heart so that we can genuinely consider the welfare of all living entities. How is this going to be possible? The part 2 of the prayer points out the secret. Manascha bhadram bhajatad adhokshaje. It is going to be possible by the purification of the heart and the mind, which is most effectively done in this age by the chanting of the holy names. I'll invite you in a short while to experience the purification that can be possible through the chanting of the holy names. And the concluding part of the prayer points to a brighter future. Avishyatam no manove avishyatam no matir api ahetuki. Let the value of our life be evaluated not by the amount of money that we accumulate or by the amount of power that we may have over others, but let the value of life be evaluated by the extent to which we are able to add value to the lives of others by becoming an unconditional instrument of the compassion in the hands of God. Let that be our absorption. This was the absorption, in fact, the constant absorption of Srila Prabhupada, who was the founder of ISKCON Society, who landed in Boston 50 years ago, exactly 50 years ago. This year, we are celebrating the 50th anniversary of that historic moment. On behalf of ISKCON, I would like to invite all of you to kindly come and join us during the month of September. At this time, I would invite all of you to enter into the spirit of this prayer and join us for this spiritual experience through the chanting of the holy name in a call and response style. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Krishna.
Thank you, Pata Biswas, and all of your accompaniment here. Thank you for that spiritual moment, for the inspiring message that you gave us. Hare Krishna. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance at this time. Thank you, Councilor Wu. At this time, I'd like to invite Councilor Wu back to the podium so that she may do our first presentation.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I'd like to invite up Anne Hirschfang. Now, Anne and her husband, Herb, are among the first people that I met when I moved into Boston. They are fixtures of the South End community. And Anne recently celebrated her 80th birthday on May 1st. And we are so excited that she could join us today. And she's joined by many of her friends from the South End, from Walk Boston, from her granddaughter Ellie as well, from all the organizations and all the ways that she has really shaped our city. So I would just like to read the resolution that was already given to Anne at her surprise party on May 1st, but we're doing the reenactment and the celebration with her friends and family here today. Whereas Anne Hirschfang was born on May 1st, 1935, and Anne and her husband Herbert purchased their home on West Rutland Square in the South End in 1965 and have been fixtures in the community ever since. Whereas Anne and Herbert raised their two daughters, Rachel and Jennifer, in the South End and contributed greatly to the Boston Public Schools as active parents at the Rice Bancroft School. Whereas in the 1970s, Anne became the first woman appointed to the board of the Massachusetts Port Authority because of her transportation policy work as a member of the League of Women Voters. Anne was instrumental in defeating the proposed South End Bypass Road, and while Massachusetts Undersecretary of Transportation and Construction in causing the substituted railroad tracks to be placed underground and the creation over it of the Southwest Corridor Park. Whereas Anne has shown lifelong dedication to her neighborhood of the South End, the Southwest Corridor, and the City of Boston as a community advocate, volunteer, and founder and board member of Walk Boston, among many other endeavors, be it therefore resolved that the Boston City Council hereby expresses its congratulations and best wishes for continued success. This resolution signed by the President of the City Council, Bill Linehan, and attested to by the Clerk of the City of Boston.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen of the council. I'm very honored by this, and it certainly eases the movement over that big of a hump of a birthday, I've got to say. And so I want to thank you, and I want to thank my friends and my family who are all here with me. And I guess that's all I have to say. I don't have any music.
Invite all the council to come up and we'll take a group photo with Anne Hirschfang. I met Anne back in 1987 when I first joined the city's Parks Department. She lives right there at Sparrow Park, and got to know her very well. A great advocate for our city. And I see many of the folks from the South End and her dear friends and family. and her husband, Judge Hirschfang. Come on up, we'll take the photo. Why don't you come right up? It's an election year. Great. Happy birthday. Good to see you. Thank you. Me too. Well, thank you, the Hirschfangs, for celebrating Ann's birthday with us. Thank you, Michelle Wu, for thinking about that. And to a very important cog in the wheel of Boston's history, especially during that last century. At this time, I'd like to ask Councilor Baker. Are you here? No? Okay. You're on the presentation list. There must be a mistake. That's good. We'll keep moving right along. I'd like to acknowledge Richard Schmidt, who's president of the National Youth Development Council. Is he here, Richard? Michael Flaherty? And Gabriella Spedicato. Okay. If there are no corrections to be made, the minutes of last meeting will stand approved. Seeing, hearing no objections to the minutes, they are so approved. Madam Clerk, communications from His Honor the Mayor.
Docket number 0, order approving an appropriation of $1,100,000 from the income of the George Francis Parking Fund for the maintenance and improvement of the Boston Common and Park.
Docket 0856 will be assigned to the Committee on Ways and Means.
Docket number 0857, message and order authorizing the Police Department to accept and expend a donation of 3 vehicles from the United States Marshals Service, 2 2004 Dodge Durangos and a 2015 Chevrolet Equinox. These vehicles will be used by the Boston Police Department Fugitive Unit.
Councilor Murphy?
Mr. President, I'd like to move suspension of the rules and passage of docket 0857.
Councilor Murphy moves suspension of the rules and passage of docket 0857. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 0857 has passed. Madam Clerk, docket 0858.
Docket number 0858, message and order authorizing the Police Commissioner to accept and expend $15,000 from the U.S. Department of Justice, United States Marshals Service for the Boston Police Department. These funds will be used to retrofit emergency response lights and equipment for 3 vehicles donated by the U.S. Marshals Service to the Boston Police Department Fugitive Unit.
Councilor Murphy moves suspension of the rules and passage of docket 0858. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 0858 has passed.
Docket number 0859. Message and order authorizing the Police Department to accept and expend a donation of an art collection depicting larger-than-life images of Boston police officers throughout the city for display.
Councilor Murphy moves suspension of the rules and passage of docket 0859. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 0859 has passed.
Docket number 0860, message and order for the City Council order approving modification to the Park Plaza Urban Renewal Plan, known as the Plan, adopted by the Boston Redevelopment Authority for a resolution dated April 16, 2015.
Docket 0860 will be assigned to the Committee on Economic Development, Planning, and Labor. Madam Clerk, reports of public officers and others.
Docket number 0861, notice was received from the mayor of the appointment of Patrick Brophy, the Chief of Operations, as a member of the Board of Directors for the Dudley Square Realty Corporation. And docket number 0862, notice was received from the mayor of the appointment of Patrick I. Brophy, the Chief of Operations, as a member of the Board of Directors for the Ferdinand Building Development Corporation.
Dockets 0861 and docket 0862 will be placed on file. Just a brief recess. Councilor Flaherty, could you come here, please? Madam Clerk, reports of committees.
Docket number 0700, the Committee on Government Operations, to which was referred on April 8, 2014. Docket number 0700, message in order for hearing to protect air quality throughout the city of Boston by reducing fuel emissions, submits a report recommending the order ought to pass in a new draft.
Chair recognizes the Chair of the Committee on Government Operations, Councilor Flaherty, on docket 0700.
Thank you, Mr. President. There was a lot of great work and collaboration on this matter that I want to thank the lead sponsor, City Councilor at Large Steve Murphy, the Mayor's Office, advocates from ACE, and representatives from the trucking and utility industry for working so hard to make this an effective policy. This ordinance would reduce diesel fuel emissions and improve our air quality by requiring trucks contracted by the city to be retrofitted with equipment that meets national air quality standards. After the hearing, we decided to make changes that are explained in the fourth paragraph of the committee report, which is in front of all of my colleagues. Many of the changes were made to ensure that Boston's regulations are consistent with the state of Massachusetts. We also clarified allowable types of retrofit technology and further explained idling provisions and enforcement. I'm confident that the new draft both fulfills the intent of the ordinance with regards to health to our citizens and also making sure that our contracting businesses and trucking equipment companies are not negatively impacted. With that, I would like to recommend passage in a new draft, but before that, hear from the lead sponsor who did tremendous work, not just this year, but the previous couple of years to finally get this to a point where we can move forward for passage. And through the chair, would like to give Councilor Murphy that opportunity. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
President.
Councilor Flaherty. Councilor Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I'd like to thank the chair, Councilor Flaherty, for holding an expeditious hearing and wielding a very fair gavel through the process to allow all points of view to be heard to get what I believe is a better ordinance than the one that originally was drafted by myself and the administration to come out of this process. And by way of beginning, Mr. President, Suffolk County has a diesel pollution index that's 309 times the national average. Our county, 309 times higher than the EPA's acceptable level. And, downtown neighborhoods are all affected disproportionately. Beacon Hill, Back Bay, the South End, the North End, Roxbury, Dorchester. All of those have higher than normal, much higher than normal asthma rates among children in Boston. And that was the original intention to begin this process of reducing diesel emissions, was to help cure asthma and emphysema and lung cancer rates in the city of Boston. And we started 4 years ago. Myself, at the time, Councilor Arroyo, Councilor Jackson was on board in the beginning, and we suffered fits and starts a couple of times until such time as Mayor Walsh came in as the administration across the hall. He found it to be a priority of his as well to reduce diesel emissions and contribute to the overall health of the city. So I believe what we're passing today does just that. We are the first city in New England to pass a diesel emission reduction ordinance. We are probably the fourth major city in the country to have done so, and I think it bodes well for the health of the residents of the neighborhoods of Boston for us to move this forward. Thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Murphy. Before I move on the matter, I just want to point out that on the agenda it says 2014, but it's 2015 for the actual ordinance inside your package. Okay, and that's what we'll be voting on. So, Councilor Flaherty moves acceptance of the committee report and passage of docket 0700 in a new draft. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 0700 has passed in a new draft. Matters recently heard for possible action.
Dockets number 0662 through 0664. Order for FY16 operating budget, including annual appropriation and tax order, annual appropriation for the school department, and appropriation for other post-employment benefits known as OPEB.
Docket 0662 through 0664 will remain in the Committee on Ways and Means.
Docket number 0665 through 0680. Orders for FY16 capital budget, including loan orders and lease and purchase agreements.
Dockets 0665 through 0680 will remain in the Committee on Ways and Means.
Docket number 0685, message and order authorizing the Boston Center for Youth and Families to reestablish in accordance with General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half, a revolving fund to accept from the fund up to a maximum of $750,000 to fund fiscal year 2016 to pay salaries and benefits of employees and to purchase supplies and equipment necessary to operate the City Hall child care.
Docket 0685 will remain the Committee on Ways and Means. Madam Clerk, motion, orders, and resolutions, please.
Docket number 0863, Councilor Presley offer the following order approving a home rule petition for a special law regarding an act authorizing early voting in the city of Boston.
Chair recognizes Councilor Presley on docket 0863.
Thank you, Mr. President. The impetus for this home rule was the vote that we took a couple of weeks ago regarding changing the date of the primary elections, which really, after a meeting with advocates, really begged a larger question. As you may recall, in 2014, Governor Patrick signed an election reform law that allowed for, among other things, no excuse early voting for up to 11 days before a state general election. Unfortunately, this law did not extend directly to city elections. As you're all aware, currently Boston residents can vote early in city elections only if, one, they will be absent from the city on election day, two, if they have a physical disability that prevents them from voting at the polling place, or three, if they cannot vote at the polls due to religious beliefs. Voters deserve as many access opportunities as possible to engage and participate, and expanding early access to the ballot box, I think, really does get us closer to that. This home rule petition mirrors the legislation passed by the state last year. It allows for no excuse early voting within an 11 business day period before a city general election. In addition, this home rule allows for voting at City Hall and other locations to be determined by the Elections Department. If this is passed, I'm particularly excited about exploring the potential of bringing early voting to every neighborhood of the city via the City Hall to Go truck. The City Hall to Go truck already allows you to register to vote or apply for an absentee ballot. Elections, as we all know, are critical to the health of any democracy, and as many other states are seeking to tamper with, to manipulate, and depress the health of our democracy, this is a space with which Boston can stand as a leader in election modernization at the city level. Collectively, as a body, we've done so much around language access and voter access with leadership around transliterated ballots and the like. This is one more thing that we should be doing to strengthen voter access and participation and to eliminate any barriers that depress civic participation. I look forward to a robust discussion about this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Presley. Councilor Zachem.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to commend Councilor Presley and thank her for bringing this matter forward. As she noted, This is a time when across the country we are seeing efforts by one of the national political parties to over and over again chip away at voter protections and rights. And I think as the birthplace of American democracy, it's incredibly important that Boston is going to speak with one voice and say, we can do better, we're going to do better here. We need to continue to be that beacon, I think, for the rest of the country. Just in the past year and a half here on the council, it's been so encouraging to see this body act with one voice on so many issues of justice, equality, and access to disadvantaged groups and to others across the city. So I think this is another opportunity to do that. I want to thank Councilor Presley for her leadership on that. I'd ask that my name be added. I look forward to a hearing and to hopefully working up with the State House to get this done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Zakhem. Could you please add Councilor Zakhem's name to that matter? Councilor Jackson.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I want to emphatically add my name, and I want to thank Councilor Presley for her leadership in this space. This is protecting our most valuable franchise, which is the right for an individual to vote. And as noted by Councilor Zakhem, many states are retreating, closing doors and putting up obstacles and barriers. And we are moving in the right direction with legislation like this that opens the doors and actually really moves us towards the democracy that we seek. I also think it's critical as the young people in the city of Boston are now participating in participatory budgeting, which actually brings budgeting closer to the people and increases municipal participation in budgeting, that we continue to think about innovative ideas to move us closer to where we want to be. Again, this is, I think, common sense legislation that brings our city much closer to where we should be in terms of the democracy. We're a city of so many firsts, and we need to continue to keep our lead there. Thank you so much, and please add my name.
Thank you, Councilor Jackson. Madam Clerk, please add Councilor Jackson's name. Councilor Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to commend my colleague, Councilor Presley, on filing this. I do want to raise a caution to everybody, though. In 2014, Governor Patrick signed an original bill that impacted only state elections, saying that process would begin in 2016. So this has not happened at the state level yet. And I believe that we would have to amend this home rule petition in order to ensure passage at the state to say take effect in 2017. I don't believe that they would allow home rule petitions to take effect before the statewide law does, which is in the 2016 election. I just offer that as a caution at this point. I am inspired by Councilor Presley's work. I agree with her. I just don't believe that. I believe this might be a case where we would put the cart before the horse, so to speak, and get out of the gate before the statewide bill actually takes effect or is implemented at a statewide election. So election calendars are a funny thing, and I think we should probably defer or demur on the side of caution because the state put it into effect for 2016. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Murphy. Councilor O'Malley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Last week, I had the honor of speaking to a bunch of 8th grade students about civics and government, and one of the questions that came up was, how do we get more people to vote? How do we get more people involved in the political process? And I answered about being galvanized by issues or certain candidates, underscored the important role that we play in people's everyday life, and it spawned a discussion on ways to make it easier to vote. Now, it is pretty easy to register to vote. We've passed motor voter law, we've done other things, but we don't make it as easy as we can, and certainly in this city, in this Commonwealth, we don't. We've seen other states do so many innovative practices, things like same-day voter registration, which is something I support, or mail-in balloting, which is something I also support. This is a terrific first steps that gets to that. There is no good reason why we shouldn't have centers set up in addition to City Hall where people can vote early. I always say, and this is an election year for us, your vote's a hiring decision. We are all up for our biannual review this fall. We really need to be doing more to engage more people and simply make it easier. So I commend my dear friend and colleague on this matter. I ask that my name be added, and hopefully we can work with the state to get this done as soon as humanly possible. Thank you.
Councilor O'Malley, thank you. Did you want your name added? Yeah, please add Councilor O'Malley's name, Councilor LaMartina's name. Councilor Wu. I'll get to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also rise to thank Councilor Presley for putting this forward. Such an important reform that we need to be tackling in Boston. We all know how frustrating it is that so much of our campaign resources have to go into focusing on this tiny little window for people to vote. And in off years, it's about getting people to show up. And in the big years, it's about getting people to go and stay in line because it's only that one opportunity they have before or after work. So really opening up that window, allowing people to participate more, and when it works with their kids' schedules and their work schedules is just, as Councilor Jackson said, common sense. So I look forward to, so please add my name. I look forward to supporting this important reform, and whether or not we do it after the state or as a pilot before the state, I think it's so important that we are talking about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Wu. Please add Councilor Wu's name, Councilor Yancey's name, Councilor Murphy's name, and please add the chair's name. Docket 0863 is assigned to the Committee on Government Operations. Docket 0864 has been withdrawn. Personnel orders, Madam Clerk.
Docket number 0865, Councilor Linehan for Councilor
Councilor McCarthy moves suspension of the rules and passage of docket 0865. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 0865 has passed.
Docket number 0866, Councilor
Councilor
Linehan for
McCarthy
Councilor
moves suspension of the rules and passage of docket 0866. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 0866 has passed.
Docket number 0867, Councilor Linehan.
Councilor
for
McCarthy
Councilor
moves suspension of the rules and passage of docket 0867. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 0867 has passed. I've been informed by the clerk that there are 5 late file matters in the hands of the clerk, which in absence of objection will be added to today's agenda. Hearing no objections, the matters are so added. The clerk will read the first late file matter.
It's personnel in nature.
Personnel in nature.
Councilor Bill Linehan for Councilor Murphy. Ordered that-
Councilor Murphy moves suspension of the rules and passage of the first late file matter. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The first late file matter has passed.
Councilor Linehan for Councilor Wu. Ordered
Councilor Wu moves suspension of the rules and passage of the second late file matter. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The second late file matter has passed.
Councilor Bill Linehan for Councilor Wu.
Councilor who? I'm sorry?
Councilor
Oh, Councilor Wu. Okay, I just didn't hear it. Councilor Wu moves suspension of the rules and passage of the third late file matter. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The third late file matter has passed.
Resolution offered by Councilors Tim McCarthy and Stephen Murphy. An act concerning workers' rights and job security. Whereas American Postal Workers Union is fighting an agreement between the U.S. Postal Service and Staples that jeopardizes mail services and local post offices, along with thousands of living wage jobs. Therefore, be it ordered that the Boston City Council support the United Postal Workers Union and call by 51 senators and 178 House members for a one-year moratorium on the reduction in services and the closing of mail processing centers to allow Congress time to enact postal legislation that would improve, not degrade, postal service.
Councilor McCarthy, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. As the clerk read, the American Postal Workers Union are fighting this agreement between the United States Postal Service and Staples. This contract or this agreement was a no-bid trial program with 82 Staples throughout the country. Postal employees, as we know, are trained and sworn to protect and deliver our mail. Simply put, the employees at Staples don't have that qualification. This is threatening the Postal Service as we know it. I would like everybody to join myself and Councilor Murphy in supporting a one-year moratorium to have Congress reevaluate this agreement.
Thank you, Councilor McCarthy. Councilor Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank Councilor McCarthy for leading this fight. I enthusiastically join with him in trying to get Congress to slow down this process. It reminds me of the process here in Boston, which right now people can go for health care checkups at CVS Pharmacy. And while that seems like it might be a good thing, it is killing our neighborhood health centers, which rely on those checkups to survive. So something that's good individually for people is a detriment in our neighborhoods. And this is something along those lines, which, someone come up with the idea to save money, and I get that. However, there are jobs and livelihoods at stake, and there's a profession at stake, Mr. President. And the Staples are going to treat it like a hobby or an afterthought. And it's always good to come down on the side of the profession. I commend Councilor McCarthy, and I enthusiastically add my name. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Murphy. Councilor Yancey.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I commend Councilor McCarthy and Murphy for offering this resolution. Over the years, Mr. President, I've stood with the American Postal Workers Union on a number of issues, most recently just a few months ago when they were challenging many cutbacks within the postal workforce. Mr. President, over my few years on the City Council, we've been very successful in opening up new post offices in our neighborhoods, including the one in Mattapan Square, the one on Washington Street and Codman Square. And I believe that our efforts prevented the closing of the Grove Hall post office, again, working with the Postal Union and community residents. As the son of a postal worker and brother of a postal worker and nephew of a postal worker, I believe that we should prevent the privatization of the Postal Service that is represented by this potential agreement between the Post Office and Staples. Again, I commend the work of my two colleagues on this effort and ask that my name be added.
Thank you, Councilor Yancey. Please add Councilor Yancey's name. Please add my name. Add Councilor Baker's name. Councilor Flaherty's name. Councilor O'Malley. Councilor LaMattina. Councilor Presley, Councilor Wu, Councilor Zaker. Councilor Jackson, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I want to applaud the efforts of our two colleagues. I also just want to remind people that in many neighborhoods where people are unbanked, this is where a lot of financial transactions actually occur. And so if we shut these, then we actually push these individuals to predatory organizations that charge them a great deal for their banking. So I think it's absolutely critical that we keep post offices strong. In other communities outside of the city, there are more low-cost options. But in the city of Boston, there are very few low-cost options for people to get money orders and to do banking transactions such as this. And the post office is a trusted resource in that regard. Please add my name. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Jackson. Councilor LaMattina, did you want to say something?
Suspend and adopt this resolution.
Thank you for that, Councilor LaMattina. So, Councilor McCarthy and Councilor Murphy, and now Councilor LaMattina moves suspension of the rules and adoption of the fourth, is it? Or fifth? Fourth, late file matter. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. And the fourth late file matter has been adopted. Councilor LaMattina is asserting himself to doubt the vote. So please, Madam Clerk, read the roll.
Councilor Baker. Councilor Baker, yes. Councilor Siomo. Councilor Flaherty. Councilor Flaherty, yes. Councilor Jackson. Councilor Jackson, yes. Councilor LaMattina. Council Lamatina, yes. Council Linehan.
Yes.
Council Linehan, yes. Council McCarthy. Council McCarthy, yes. Council Murphy. Council Murphy, yes. Councilor O'Malley. Councilor O'Malley, yes. Councilor Presley. Councilor Presley, yes. Councilor Wu. Councilor Wu, yes. Councilor Yancey. Councilor Yancey, yes. And Councilor Zachem. Councilor Zachem, yes. 12-0.
The roll is in. It's 12 in the affirmative. In that matter, the fourth late file matter has been passed. Adopted. Confirmed. All of the above. All right. The fifth late file matter, please.
Fifth late file matter, offered by Councilor Jackson, an order for hearing to discuss buskers operating in the city of Boston. Whereas street performers known as buskers are vital to the culture and local economy of Boston. Buskers range from established artists to individuals trying to make ends meet. Whereas the operators of Faneuil Hall have requested buskers to pay $500 to $2,500 to perform on their grounds, which economically segregates and disproportionately affects performers who are unable to meet this high financial demand. Therefore, be it ordered that the appropriate committee of the Boston City Council hold a hearing to discuss the City of Boston's policy on charging buskers to perform in the City of Boston and invite any interested parties to attend the hearing.
Councilor Jackson, you have the floor.
Mr. President, I had no idea that street performers were referred to as buskers. Just doing a little bit of research, I learned that. I would simply say, and I want to thank Councilor Murphy as well as you for your leadership and conversations about Ashkenazi, who are the folks who are running through the BRA are actually running Faneuil Hall. I don't represent Faneuil Hall, but I do represent a bunch of the folks who are out there making a living. People who are working their butts off, honestly, to help help brand our city as the art city that we are. People who, when in the most difficult economic times, when people shut down in Faneuil Hall, they were still there. And we saw the same thing, we see the same thing on street corners all around the city of Boston. Interestingly, when you look at most of the cases nationally around this issue, this is actually covered under their First Amendment rights. They have a right in public property to actually perform as long as it is not offensive to folks. It's very, very sad, and this is yet another situation where this new group that was designated through the BRA is taking advantage of the little guy or little woman. They are asserting themselves and seeking to get financial gain based on folks who, again, have kept traffic there. I think we need to be, as a city, the most open city for street performers and working musicians and performers in the whole country. We should not be throwing up obstacles and walls for people to be able to make a living. If we look at the number of folks who are there would be close to 50, 60, maybe even 100 folks who literally would not be able to make a living. So I think we need to look very long and hard, I guess, at a couple of areas. One, our policies relative to this, but two, are the people who we are giving a lease following current city law and our ordinances? Because I would think that they need to go ahead and follow the laws that we've actually put forward. And I'm scratching my head as to how individuals are going to pay between $500 and $2,500 to be street performers. This is, I think, an urgent issue, and I think one that detracts from the robust artistic community that we have in the city of Boston rather than adds to it. And I think we should really explore this and figure out how we don't add really a burden that will break the camel's back relative to these these street performers. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Jackson. Is this particular fee being designated or devised by the BRA? Or is it?
No, this is actually, this fee is actually being placed on these individuals based on, by the current,
the current property owner, leaser?
Yes.
The leaser of the property.
Yeah.
I asked that question for the proper assignment to committee, not to delve into the matter.
Yeah.
But thank you. Councilor Murphy?
Question as well, Mr. President. Is this policy going on now? Because we did have a hearing on this and it never came up.
Through the chair, hold on, Councilor Jackson. So the question is is the policy going on now? Councilor Jackson, can you answer that?
Mr. President, I think the other issue, through you, Mr. President, to Councilor Murphy, is that the individuals that you're talking about, who you brought in for a hearing, were not completely transparent with you about the additional fees that they were going to add. The hearing that you had was around people who were merchants and vendors. But kind of like when you ask your niece or nephew, did you do this? And they didn't do that, and they actually did something else. This is the same type situation. So they should have been more transparent when they came into this body to actually answer the questions that you asked them. So this is something new and something that will be coming up in the future relative to this $500 to $2,500 fee.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Jackson. Yeah, and please add Councilor Murphy's name to that. Councilor LaMattina?
Thank you, Mr. President. I asked that my name be added because there's another issue going on with the street performance over there. Some of them feel like they're being bullied because they can't perform at a certain spot. So I would like to bring them in here and see how that works. Who gets the spots? How do they own the spots? Can other people perform at those spots? So there's some other issues going on over there with the performers. Thank you.
Thank you. Please add Councilor LaMattina's name. Councilor McCarthy?
And thank Councilor Jackson for bringing this up. I think this is an opportunity that Councilor Jackson brings to this body. Quincy Market and Faneuil Hall, indeed, is people from all over the world come there, and they come there for a reason, to see the sights and to see the performers, and that's all part of the experience. But this policy can go a lot further. You know, I have my own pet peeves with city vehicles parking on the plaza, parking over there. That type of issue can be addressed. Noise regulations can be addressed. Performers, whether or not they're appropriate to be over there, that also can be addressed. And the quality of performances, I think we can really tie this into a nice package and make sure that Faneuil Hall and Quincy Market continues to be a destination point for people around the world.
Okay, thank you. Please add Councilor McCarthy's name. Thank you, Councilor McCarthy. Councilor O'Malley?
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to echo what the previous speaker said. I appreciate this initiative from my dear friend from District 7, asked that my name be added. I think, obviously, it seems to be in response to some media reports that we had heard. I certainly have some questions that would be better served at a hearing, like, is there a charge now? But to Councilor McCarthy's point, you see these performers in every major city across the globe, be it at the London Eye or the Eiffel Tower or Piccadilly Circus. It's unclear to me if we have any regulation in place, if there are indeed fees, what the process is in place. We want to make sure things aren't overwhelmed. We want to make sure things are appropriate. So I think that this hearing could lead to a larger, more fruitful discussion as we talk about tourism, which is a crucial part of our economy. So I thank the maker and look forward to a hearing and ask that my name be added.
Please add Councilor O'Malley's name, Councilor Yancey's name. Please add my name. Councilor Presley.
I'll just add my name.
Just add your name?
Yes.
Add Councilor Presley's name. Councilor Wu?
Just wanted to rise and join in the chorus, thanking Councillor Jackson for bringing this up. What I love about this is that it's about a very specific and urgent issue that we can help draw attention to and fix right across the street, but also, again, has the option for the opportunity for a wider lens. And we've seen public art flourish under this administration, especially with the Greenway and the incredible new installations over there. But we need to remember that public art is not just something to, art that's visual art, but also performance and music, and contributes to our arts, culture, and tourism. So excited to have my name added and to be moving forward on this.
Thank you, Councilor Wu, and add Councilor Flaherty's name to that. This matter, the last late file matter, will be placed in both the Committee on Economic Development and Neighborhood Services. But because the Faneuil Hall Marketplace in itself is both domain for the BRA as well as the City of Boston, and then the issues are not just for that location, but for others. So it would be in both locations. Councilor Wu?
I don't want to mess with the order too much, but would rise and also, if there's a way to incorporate arts and culture in there, because I hear that it's a citywide issue as well in terms of street performers and music and arts and culture and the feel of that in Boston.
I mean, I'm reluctant to put a matter into two committees rather than three, because you'll all have
I defer to the maker and whomever.
Yeah. So, I mean, everybody's allowed to come to the hearing and to participate in the hearing. But the reason I specifically put it in both of those committees and will be co-chaired by those chairs is because the BRA has, through a lease, has responsibility for a portion of that area, and public properties, our own property management, has responsibility for other parts of that. Yep, sure. And Labor, and the Neighborhood Services and Veterans Affairs. There are no more late file matters at that point. Anybody wishing to pull a matter from the green sheets? No takers? There are no late file matters for the consent agenda, Madam Clerk, am I correct? Oh, there's 6. Somehow I've lost that little page. There are 6 late file matters which, in absence of objection, will be added to the consent agenda. Seeing, hearing no objection, the matters are so added. The chair moves adoption of the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The consent agenda has been adopted. Councilor Presley, for what purpose do you rise?
Unanimous consent to make an announcement.
No objections? You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I should reframe it. It really isn't an announcement. It's a challenge. In the vein of the Ice Bucket Challenge and other social media campaigns around important issues, a constituent has asked that I ask all of you to join me in supporting the One campaign, co-founded by U2's Bono. The goal is to alleviate poverty and illnesses around the world. It's the Poverty is Sexist campaign, specifically focusing on the issues of poverty and the importance of providing resources to women and girls who are the most likely group to be in poverty around the world. So if you'll join me at the end of the meeting for a Boston, what we're calling a strengthy pose, modeling Rosie the Riveter. It's meant to be a symbol of strength and solidarity to show how important it is to provide the necessary resources to women and girls around the world. So I'm issuing the Boston Strengthy Challenge to all of you. I hope you will participate.
Thank you, Councilor Presley. I'd ask all guests at this time to please rise, and council members, as we prepare to adjourn today's meeting in memory of the following individuals. For Councilor Baker, Michael Pembroke. For Councilor Siomo, Claire Dunn and Daniel Tice. For Councilor LaMartina, Blanche De Rossi, Sal's aunt. For Councilor Murphy, William J. Cavalucci. For Councilor Murphy and Councilor McCarthy, Irene Lowney. For Councilor O'Malley, Henry Creed and John G. Deverin. For Councilor Presley, Kelly Allen. For Councilor Wu, Evelyn Mendez. For Councilor Yancey, Dolores Anderson, Officer Benjamin Dean, Officer LaCorey Tate, and Officer Brian Moore. A moment of silence, please. The chair moves that when the council adjourns today, it does so in memory of the aforementioned individuals and is scheduled to meet again on Wednesday, May 20th at 12 o'clock noon. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The council is so adjourned. The pick, everybody.